excited about this show. It's been forever. Introduce yourself before I even hi Sofa City, any of that shit.
My name is Adam Peach. I played guitar and vocals in Doors and Fours and a bunch of other stuff. And hello, this is also my first time in a while.
Nice, nice. Yeah, no, what is the last interview you've done? Have you done an interview before?
Oh yeah, but it was probably around 2019-ish before all the
Okay.
craziness happened.
Yep. Yep. Which we
Yeah,
were just talking about.
for sure. Yeah.
So right on. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So I don't ever do any research. I don't do any reading aside from all the stuff that you sent me to listen to. I didn't go see any, like, try to look for anything you've been up to. I figured we would just have a good catch up, genuine conversation and like see how things are because it's been a long time.
It's been a long time, and it's funny too because I mean, for myself, I haven't been. I've been pretty close kept for the last few years as well. So like there hasn't really been anything. I mean, I think as we were talking about every couple of years, I kind of like would start working on some kind of a project, and it kind of just like marks like a certain time in life kind of a thing
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. Anybody who writes music, it's like sometimes you just have something that you have to kind of get out.
Hmm.
So during the pandemic and I guess the last 3 years, I've been pretty close kept. I did release a project back in, well, I guess it was about a year ago now, but it wasn't really highly promoted. And even now, like it's not on Spotify or anything like that. Like I'm not out like promoting it or anything, but
Right.
it was just something that I had to get out at the time. There was a lot of craziness going on. I think also, as a lot of us thought a year ago and 2 years ago, we didn't even really know what things were going to be like at the other
Right.
side of all the craziness that was happening.
Yeah.
So yeah, I basically said, okay, hey, it was something I promoted on my personal Facebook, and just friends or followers that were kind of, if you've been following me for a while, here's something that I'm doing, and I'm not
Yep.
promoting it very much. It was a very limited vinyl, and that's about it. Since then, I've been pretty quiet as well. Doors and Fours is as a lot of people probably noticed, that used to see us, we're not playing anymore. Um, so we're on to other projects. Like the other two members are on, they're doing another project right now. I'm in the midst of starting something. It's very very early, but for myself, I have so much music that was already written, already recorded, already demoed, stuff that was already released. It's like I don't. A lot of it's just been trying to decide what do I want to do, right? Like, do I want to start putting out, and do I want to start playing stuff that I did a few years ago that never saw the light of day? Do I want to do new music? So that's been a big part of it. But being away for a couple of years has been crazy because um, a lot of it was just trying to, again, as we were talking about earlier, a lot of it was just trying to kind of center myself again.
Right.
And there was a lot of life changing events over the last few years that sort of made everything really difficult. You know, um, I've been at times in my life where I've been just very good and content with everything. So it was easy to focus on a musical project 100% and really push it uh, the way it deserves to be pushed. But then
Right.
there's been other times um, where, that's been hindered because of personal stuff, obviously, right? So that's been sort of something that's been really hindering over the last few years. It's just been kind of like one thing after another, which you just have to roll with the punches. And unfortunately, like when COVID hit, that was sort of on the cusp of other life changing events. Um, so it really took me out, like, to be honest, like it really, yeah, it took me the frig out. And
Yeah. You can swear all you want on the show, man.
Sure. Yeah, and it was rough. So I mean, like I said, the band broke up during that time. We spent a lot of time apart, and we were all kind of working on different things. But for myself, I also had a pretty rough injury, so that took me out for a few months.
Right.
And yeah, I ended up with a collapsed lung, which is called a spontaneous pneumothorax, which apparently it's just like my age and demographic and weight and everything at that time. It was just like the perfect storm for this spontaneous collapsed lung. Yeah, I
Oh,
went to the
wow.
hospital. It was nuts. Yeah, anyway, this was also I guess to try to piece all that story together. The pandemic was crazy. There was a lot of just downtime and not really doing anything. And then right at the end of it, when things started kind of seeming like they were coming back again, and we're going to be able to jam like with my band again.
Right.
Um, when all that started kind of happening, and it was like, okay, cool. There's kind of a light at the end of the tunnel. Then I had this crazy injury, and it just happened. I woke up one night at like 2 or 3 in the morning. I thought I was having a heart attack. It took about like 2 or 3 minutes to set in, and I was like, holy shit! Like I need to
Right.
call I think I need to call 911. Like I'm pretty sure I'm not okay. So I called 911. They arrived, and by the time they got there, like I was like my face is blue. I was still conscious, but I was in complete shock. And then they told me like your lung is basically shriveled up in a raisin right now. Like all of your air, like you had a hole in your lung, all of the air just escaped. And so it was crazy. It was that was a crazy experience. But I was okay, so that was good.
Wow.
Yeah, but
Wow.
after that happened, it took a long time to recover because obviously it's your lung. So yeah, I mean, the whole operation and like the immediate recovery was about 5 or 6 days in the hospital, and then I was able to go home. And once I was home, it was a good couple of months before I was able to really do anything again.
Yeah.
I mean, I was really working towards getting better, but couldn't really, I couldn't sing, I couldn't really do much. Voice sounded like shit,
Right.
but yeah, and it was in that time that I was kind of down that the band kind of was like, hey, you know what? Like, we're going to focus on different stuff, like, get better, you get better. And so they started kind of going full time with their other band, um, which, whatever, right?
Yeah.
So, um, now I'm basically 100%, and I've been trying to get the new project going. Which is a little heavier than Doors and Fours for sure. It's definitely more in the metal category, but it's still very
Awesome.
early. So I really it's hard to say much on that right now, just because it's so early and everything. And
Right.
yeah, there's a few members involved. Like we have a bass player, guitar player, and a drummer. But it's just too early to say anything right now, or even say names.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. I'm just excited that something's happening. That's awesome.
For sure.
So that like we've chatted a little bit in between like the last month since we decided to do this, and you did mention that you had health issues, but we never really dove into it too much. And what a wild ride, eh?
It's been crazy, yeah, because like again during the pandemic, I had some, you know, it's been a wild ride for honestly almost 10 years. Like for
Yeah.
myself, around 2016, 2015, 2016, I had a really life-changing experience. I won't go into crazy detail, but
Right.
um, yeah, it was basically like a really life-changing experience. And then from about 2016 right up until the pandemic happened, I was just, it was like basically how Doors and Four started was on the cusp of the life-changing incident. And I was like, I have a bunch of music I have to get out of me. I have to put it down, record it, and get a band together and hit the road. So I got together with Renee, who he was the Doors and Fours bassist, and he was also the bassist in my previous band Python. So I basically just called him up. I was like, "Hey, man." Um, he knew what I was going through at the time. I was like, this is what's up. I need to get the fuck out of this. It's a whole situation. Do you want to be a part of that? And let's hit the road and play some music and just do that for as long as we can. So and that's exactly what we did for literally the next like 3 or 4 years. We ended up we had Evan Greenaway from Hamilton. He was also previously in my old band Python. So he joined us for a little bit before he became a full-time wrestler after. He's like a pro wrestler. If anybody,
Right.
some people probably know him, but Evan Greenaway, check him out. Yeah, so he was our drummer for a bit and then he decided to go full-time into wrestling. So we got Paige Mecalini, who was playing in Lotharo previously. And then so that was Doors and Forts for the next few years. And we basically just lived in a car and fucking just played rock and roll wherever people would allow us to play it.
Yeah.
For the next like 3 years. And yeah, and you know what I kind of realized once the we were going to take some time off during 2019, 2020, just for our own sakes, because at that point we had been playing so much, and as you probably can predict, we weren't making like a ton of money. We were literally living in a Kia.
Yeah.
Driving all over the place, playing music for not much money, just for passion. So after a while, it got really exhausting mentally, physically, and everything else. And after a couple of years of it, we were like, okay, we need a break. So let's take a break. And that was December of 2019. So it's just funny because like 2 months later, everybody was forced to take a break. And but that's really where kind of like life changed again, and I kind of realized like, holy shit, like the last 3 or 4 years of my life I've been living like completely in autopilot, like just, and there's no regrets. Like, I mean, we had a great time. I think we made some really great music. We had a lot of great shows and met a lot of really good people. But I realized that personally for myself, I was on autopilot, and I was just like, after that life-changing event in like 2015, 2016, I hit the road and just kept running, and
Yeah.
I didn't really deal with anything, right?
Yep. I can relate to that.
And yeah, sure. And I think a lot of people can, right? Like sometimes you just go into autopilot, and it's almost like I don't want to use the word escape, because like I said, a lot of good things came out of it. It's not, it wasn't like just like a mindless thing. I mean, there was a lot of thinking involved, but at the end of the day, looking back, it was almost like a pain relief at the same time.
Yep.
So when it all came crashing down in 2020, like we made a willing decision to take a break in 2019, but then when 2020 came and we were forced to take a break, that was a whole different slap in the face, because then it was like, okay, wait a minute, like, now I can't do what was the band-aid of the pain is now no longer there, right? Like, I can't do this, and it's not up to me. Like, I'm not just taking a break on my own decision now. Like, now I'm fucked. And it really like was like, holy shit, like what the hell am I doing? I need to kind of deal with this stuff. And so I am thankful for that, of all the crazy, and I think a lot of people could relate to that, like over that, like once 2020 hit and people were kind of like, a lot of people were locked out of their jobs, out of their passions, and were like, what the fuck am I doing? What the fuck am I gonna do?
Yeah.
And where do I want to be when we come out on the other side of this thing? Where do I want to be, right? And or where do I want to go? And that's so I think, of all the craziness, there was a lot of positive in that, because it made you stop and just say, what the fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the universe always works in perfect timing. But because of the things that the universe presents at those times, it doesn't always look like it's perfect timing. You
exactly.
know, so like, I mean, we were all forced to slow down, but that forced slowdown, a lot of us grew, and yeah, okay, it was painful and shitty for some of us, and for some of us, it was easy, and the transition, there was no issue with it. Um, but it really gave all of us the opportunity to see who we actually wanted to be, or what we actually wanted to do, or realize what we weren't doing wasn't what we were supposed to be doing. And it's nice to see that a lot of people made it out on the other side, still doing the things they love, but looking at it from a different perspective. Right.
Yeah.
And so what you had sent me a little while ago, you sent me some music a few days ago, which was fantastic.
Thank,
So thank you. I appreciate it.
thank
And
you.
thank you for sending me the vinyl. I can't wait to get it.
Yes, no problem.
So I'm super excited about that. But like when we go through all these crazy things, you were talking about how you went through this health issue, or this life-changing issue, and then you just got in the car and you started touring. I did the same thing after my heart attacks. I just kind of like got behind the bar and didn't stop until I was forced to stop.
Well,
Right. Not necessarily drinking, but doing the things I love, throwing shows, writing articles and books and all that stuff. And I went full force because I didn't want to pay attention to what I had been through. I wanted to pay attention to what I was doing.
yeah.
So like when you finally stopped and you wrote what you just sent me, um like what was the drive behind that? Was that because you had actually stopped to take a look at everything you had been through, or was there a different perspective that you were going on when you wrote? Like, how did all of that impact what you wrote, what you had put together in that EP?
A lot of it. Yeah, I would say it's weird. I guess it's weird to put into words, and this is the first time I guess anybody's even asked me that since it came out. But like, the first song, "Feeding Time," was kind of it was heavily motivated, I guess, or influenced by like during 2020. I mean, we're all on social media, especially the metal community,
Yep.
and the punk community. Everybody's all the whole music community is online, and we're all connected.
Yep.
And you know, I think a lot of people can relate to this, but there was just a lot of like fighting and infighting in the community of like what side people are on and what you believe in. And so there was a portion of like, I mean, I know the title track, like "Feeding Time," was a lot about that. It was just kind of about how like it's like people are, and I don't want to get all philosophical here, but anyway, it was like just people are just like eating each other's heads off. And it didn't matter what side you were on, right? Like there was
Yep.
people on whatever side that were just, but it was crazy because like I mean, I saw people like threatening other independent musicians' careers because of like an opinion that they had. Like they would be
Yeah.
like, "Hey, I'm going to make sure that you never play gigs because you just like said this thing,"
Yeah.
and it was like not even like a really offensive thing, but it would just be like because they had some take on something, and I thought like, okay, like sometimes I would actually be like, okay, sure, this person's crazy, but like, really, are we gonna,
Yeah. Are we going to
I
do
mean,
this?
yeah, like I mean, if we really sat down and like had a deep conversation about all kinds of different stuff, we'd probably think there's a lot of crazy stuff that we all think in one way or another, right? But like
Yeah.
when you have social media, anybody can post that at any time that they feel like it, and there's nothing wrong with that. But during that time, everybody was fired up,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
and there was like so much, and I think part of the firing up was like people are sitting at home or locked down. I mean, nobody was working for a long time, a lot of people at least, and people are just glued to their TVs,
Yeah.
or YouTube or whatever, and they're just watching the news and they're just getting fired up,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it just kind of like everybody was always fired up about like whatever their version of the story was. And
Yeah.
like I just watched like so many. I mean, I even had people that like messaged me, and or I guess I should say it like this, like there was people that like I was connected to on like social media and stuff, and like like close friends, and I'd be like, hey man, like I went to go message you and I realized like I can't message you. What the hell's going on?
Yeah.
And they'd be like, oh well, your bandmate or your friend or something said this, so I just figured that you're all in this group together, and I was
Yeah.
like, what the fuck is going on right now? Like, is this really happening? It was such a crazy time. Like, it's almost comical, like to look back at and to think like that, like those few months between like March 2020 and like the end of the year, I guess, really the end of that year. It
Yeah.
was so insane. Um, but yeah, a lot of, I mean, it's so crazy because we're going off here, but like you're asking me about the music and that album, but that was a lot of it was just like
Yeah.
feeling so isolated from everything and everyone, and just feeling like even if I have an opinion right now, like, do I really want to put my opinion out there to my peers? Because there's going to be a bunch of people who I probably love, and they
Yeah.
might just be like, hey man, fuck you because you said this thing that I particularly don't agree with. And
Yeah.
I was kind of like, it wasn't so much like that I didn't want to put, and I'm a pretty opinionated guy in a lot of, I don't feel like I have too many hot takes on things, but like I'm a pretty opinionated guy, and I'm pretty up to date with like, politics and geopolitics. It's something that
Yeah.
I'm just interested in. But I felt for a period there that like I didn't really want to even touch that because especially on social media, because it was like I don't want to offend people that I love. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, they might have some crazy take, maybe they get their news from somewhere that I don't get my news, or maybe or vice versa. And
Mhm.
it just got to the point where it's like, okay, everybody's just talking on social media, maybe everybody should just shut up and just go back to posting memes and music, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And just get out of each other's heads when it comes to political jargon and things like that. But I mean, put it in the music, sure, but there's no reason to like be arguing and uh, ruining a friendship over some difference of opinion over something. But
It's
it's
it,
you know anyway, yeah.
it's funny because if we had never gone through this, we would never know that half the people that we know and love think this way in the first place, or whatever way it was that caused them to hate us or us to hate them or whatever. Like, I mean, I tried to hang back as long as I possibly could because it was much easier that way to just watch everybody else fight it out.
Yeah,
But I don't know. It was an interesting time for everybody to. Everybody had to have an opinion, but nobody wanted anybody else's opinion. I find is the easiest way to explain that whole situation. So
for
I
sure.
I can see how that song "Feeding Time" is written about all of that encased. And I don't know that all of those songs, those few songs that you sent me were really good. So
Thank you. Yeah, a lot of them. Yeah, that one was definitely a lot about just everybody. Yeah, the craziness and the infighting of all these communities. When
yeah,
at a time when those communities, especially the metal or like, sorry, not the metal, the music community,
yeah,
the nightlife community really should have been like really like you know
oh yeah,
uh but at the same time there were there were a lot of crazy people on both sides too. So
I agree.
that adds to things, and it was just a really intense time to be alive in general. But yeah, you know what? The rest of the songs on the record are more or less just how I was feeling at the time.
Yeah,
Even not so much to do with the infighting and stuff, but just on a personal thing. You know, like I said, there was misfortune. That song in particular, it's a bit of a cheesy take, I guess, but it was really just about it's realizing that like things can happen to you, but like it doesn't mean that you have to like you don't have to be like, oh, I have shitty luck all the time, boo-hoo, right? It's like, you know what? Yeah, okay, shit can happen, and shit can happen in a row. And you know what, like whatever, right? Like at the end of the day, when you can go through really life-changing events and experiences, and you can actually sit down and like really grow from it, right? Like
yeah,
when you can come out of the other side and you can just start achieving little goals and basically, just finding like a second wind.
Yep.
I mean, that's a huge win. Like it's a huge win, right? I mean, and like, you were talking about, you went through a heart attack. I can relate on it, you're yourself even more serious, but I can relate to that. Stuff like that. It's almost,
I don't know, man. You had a lung decide to check out on you for a little while. So
it's the same. It's really, yeah, they're both up there. We'll say that.
yeah,
I still
absolutely.
think yours is crazier, but I thought I was having a heart attack. I really did, because it was the lung. It was right behind the heart, so I was just like,
It
It was
doesn't matter, man. Anywhere in the chest region, that's some scary shit. It doesn't matter if it's gas. That is some scary stuff.
for sure.
So yeah, I get it, man. I totally get it.
And when that stuff happens, like nothing else matters. It's like, like what, like there's, so it's, yeah, through all the life-changing stuff, when you can come out of the other side and just keep going and be positive, and I mean, you almost appreciate it more, right? It's like every day is a good day. Like every day is an awesome day. So like, there's no reason to hold grudges with people. There's just no reason to have any kind of that negativity. Like, you just need to just appreciate what's going on in front of you, and not let things get to your head like, oh, I've had this string of shitty luck. Okay, so let's change that, right? Like, I mean, you can go out and change that.
It's perspective.
It's perspective.
Perspective is everything.
Yes,
Everything.
100%.
Like I don't know. It's like, you can look at it as if you stepped in a puddle and you soaked your shoe, or you stepped in a puddle and you cleaned your soul, right?
Yeah.
Like it's all about perspective. My favorite saying is, we live every day and we only die once, except for me. I get to die twice. So.
Amen to that. I'm not religious,
but and it's true though. Like it's funny because like, once you get to that point, you want to make sure that you live life to the fullest every single day, and you want to be as careful as you can, and you want to make sure that you can love as many people in person as you possibly can. And on the other side of it, at least I know for me, I want to get close to it. Like, some people are like, oh my God, I'm never going to take my seatbelt off again. And then there's people like me who are like, yeah, teach me how to walk on machetes, please. So, like this, it goes either way when you come close to that. But either way, whether you're on the daredevil side of it or you're not taking your seatbelt off, your appreciation for it is completely different than it was the day before your health took that turn, because now you know what your body is capable of.
100%.
Right? But now you also know that you're invincible.
Yeah.
For the time being. You've lived through 100% of your shitty days, which cheers to that, because it's not always easy, especially in the time that we're in.
For sure.
But like, you seem like for everything that you've been through, and I say this because I know that I walk a thin line behind the scenes sometimes too, but you seem like you're doing fucking fantastic for all the stuff that you have gone through in the last little while.
Thank you.
It definitely shows in your music that you are taking the time to, I guess, regenerate yourself and grow. So congratulations on that, man.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I didn't want to put it down. Like there was a few times during the last few years where I was just like, do I just, like, what do I do now? Like, I'm 35 years old. Like, what the fuck am I going to do? Am I going to put another band together now at 35 years old? Like, but then other days I'm like, of course you're going to put another fucking band together, dude. Like, what the fuck are you thinking about this for? It's
goddamn intrusive thoughts.
Yeah. It's like, when you've been doing something this long, and I know like anybody in the music scene for any period of time can relate to me on this. And it's like, what the fuck else are you going to do? Like, where are you going to go, man? Right. I mean, like I've really spent the last like 15, 16 years of my life, getting to know people and playing music for people in this music community. Right. And, and yes, okay, you get smashed in the face with these crazy experiences and COVID and all that, the lockdown stuff. And, And yes, it makes you reevaluate everything, but then at the end of the day, it's like, I still really, really miss, the people that have always been there
Yeah.
through the years, that have supported you with music, like
Yeah.
all the promoters, all the the bar owners, just anybody, the band members over the years that have helped you achieve your vision,
Hmm.
as an artist, or even just as a person who goes to shows. It's the same thing. It's like
Yeah.
that community provides so much joy. And
Oh yeah.
even when it gets crazy, and even when things get tough, it's like, especially in a band, and things can get stressful. You're spending all your money, you're spending all your time. It's hard to keep good jobs when you're constantly trying to
Yeah.
go on the road. And it's like any other business. It's hard to try to run a successful company and then try to maintain a full-time
Run.
job. So
Yeah.
it gets stressful.
Yeah.
And I think it's just, it shows a lot. It says a lot about people in that community, in our community, people who keep doing it, because there's a lot involved. I mean, we don't do this for a lot of money. It's all for passion, really, at the end of the day. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
so it gets tough, it gets stressful, but then when you feel like you want to quit, you just have to think, like, why? I mean, why am I doing this in the first place? Like, I'm doing this because I love it. So there are ways
Yeah.
to hold down a job and still be able to hit the road, and still maintain a band, and do the things that you want to do. But
Yeah. Oh yeah.
you just have to strategize a little better. And that
Balance.
that's it. You just have to
Yep.
strategize a little more. You can't just, especially now after COVID, everything's expensive. You can't just hit the road and hope for the best. You may end up homeless.
No. Yeah. Yeah. No, we certainly, like you were just saying, we certainly come from one hell of a community. We've seen that from November until now. And I mean, we've seen that over the last few years, but or the last few decades. The metal community and the punk community, I think we're more like a family than we are a community, because like, let's say you have 9 moving parts and you need a 10th moving part, and that 10th moving part's on the other side of the country. Whoever's got that 10th moving part will find a way to make sure that you get it.
Yeah, for sure.
Like it's interesting how we all work to make everything happen for all of us. I myself have never been able to play or sing, but I need you guys to do that in order for me to do the things that I do. Like I don't get to put these books together or do these podcasts or these interviews or these shows without having you guys doing the things that you're doing, right? So it's a two-way support system that that we all actually want to be a part of. How do we not all have like permanent careers in this stuff when is it like seriously? But I think at the end of the day too, it's not about holding down that 9 to 5 job. It's about doing what we love.
Yeah.
And sure, we have all ended up with really good jobs, but at the end of the day, it's just a paycheck so that we can do the things that we love,
Exactly.
which is playing music and going on tour and getting stuck in the van on the side of the highway. And, I thought I booked a hotel here, not on the other side of the city, or, and it's all that stuff that we go through that makes it worth it, that makes us want to do it.
It is, for sure, 100%. And yeah, that's exactly it. And that's exactly, I guess that's the big part of it, right? It's like, what else are we doing anything for if it's not to do what we love at the end of the day, right? Like, I mean, seriously though, I mean, like that's why you kind of, again, with the jobs, like you were saying, I mean, you go to work so that you can support your passion at the end of the day. So, or you can just just go do your day job and not do anything and not care about anything, and be miserable forever, basically, right?
Yeah.
Which sure, a lot of people do that, but yeah, it's a lot different when you have that. Once you've been in like that music community for a little while, you get that taste of it, it's really hard to
Oh, yeah.
it's really hard to just walk away from that at any time. Even like as you get again, I was saying like 35 for myself now, and during my lowest
Mhm.
points, I was thinking like I'm 35. Do I really want to keep doing this shit? And it's like, of course you do. Like, what the fuck else are you gonna do, man? Like,
Yeah,
I'll do this when I'm 45. I'm probably 55 and
yeah,
possibly 65 if I make it that fucking far too, right?
yeah,
But
yeah. I turned 40 in a mosh pit, so I get it.
what else are we gonna do, right? Like, what the
You
fuck?
know?
And it's so, yeah. I mean, that's really the thing, and I think, yeah, it was a crazy time. People were fighting and arguing about all kinds of stuff, but I think, hopefully now, I think now that it's over too, it's been a while, and like things are, even though it was coming back for the last few months, like as time goes, it's getting even a little more and a little more like it used to. Like it's
Yeah,
still not quite there, but it's like getting there, right? Um, but
people are hugging
that'll
again.
get
That's
better.
important.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like there's still a lot of, I mean, even myself, like I haven't done anything for the last few years musically. I haven't been on a stage in 3 years, or 2 years.
Mhm.
And I know a lot of people are in the exact same boat where they're just like, I've been hibernating for 2, 3 years,
Yeah,
and now I want to get the fuck out. And
yeah,
so it just took a long time. But I think, again, that's just how hard it hit a lot of people when it happened, that people were just down for so long that nobody knew
yeah,
what the fuck was going on anymore.
yeah. Yeah, no, it certainly it was life changing for everybody. Like we were saying backstage, like my up until COVID hit, my kids were going to school and I was in front of the computer all day long trying to figure out how I was going to turn books into money. And then COVID hit and my nurse was like, "Listen, like you're allergic to infections, man. Your kids can't be in school." And I was like, "Yeah." And I never sent them back. And I'll tell you, it was one of the best decisions ever because my girls are home with me. I know what's going in their heads. I know what they're learning. I know who's teaching them the bullshit that is coming out of their mouths. So, like I know what's going on with them. Um, they get to see life from a human experience, from a person experience, as opposed to you guys are children till you're 18. And now that you're 18, all that stuff we told you not to do, now you have to go do it. Because that's essentially what we do until we're 18 years old. Our parents go, don't do this, don't touch that, don't lick that, don't eat that, don't kiss that, don't do this. And then when we're 18, they're like, you go do whatever the fuck you want to do, but you better survive.
Yeah.
You know?
That's
So,
true.
like, here's a complex and no rent money. See ya.
Yeah.
So I just kind of took it as an opportunity to go, okay, well, I'm going to teach them how to run a business instead of work for one. I'm going to teach them how to do all the things that I wanted to learn when I was their age that I didn't get to learn because I had to go to school. And it's proving to work for us because now I've gotten the opportunity to expand Sofa City and stuff like that. And I wouldn't have gotten to do that if I didn't get to take that good 3-year look at myself and look at them and see how things were going and put stuff into perspective. Like we were talking about how we everybody was on one side or the other side, but nobody was looking at what was going on in their own yard, I think. So it was nice to be able
Agreed.
to do that. And it seems by our conversation now and what we were talking about backstage, it seems like you actually had the opportunity to get the chance to do that and kind of take a step back and look at what you were doing and what you wanted to be doing and figure out how you go in that direction. So it's nice to hear that. It's nice to see that you've come out of the shadow with something on the go. So I'm happy to see that.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
It was rough because like for a while, there was like, well, I guess one thing I should say as well is just like when you have something that you need to deal with, you should deal with it as soon as possible. Because I think one thing for me that also made it tough to get over the hump of just being able to get back to being myself again,
Right.
was just the fact that I had so many things that I wanted to kind of get off my chest and that I wanted to deal with. And so the way that things ended with Doors and Fours, for example, without getting into any gory details, because nobody needs
Right.
to, nobody needs to get into any crazy personal stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't want to. There, there's nobody's like fighting or anything, right? It's just one of
Right.
those things.
Right.
But we were really close, and yeah, I mean, the way that it ended, it definitely wasn't the way that I wanted it to. It wasn't the way that I wanted us to part, and that was a lot of because there every side of that situation had things that they had harbored up and didn't get out. And I guess that's another thing I can say about, when it comes to having health issues that were very sudden and life changing, and having, the COVID situation and things that can be life changing in a second. It's like, listen, don't fucking harbor shit. If you getting back to just living life and just focusing on going forward, and there's no reason to like harbor shit. Like, if you're around people that you trust and that, everybody's supposed to be on the same page, you should be able to get things off your chest in a way that isn't going to put anything at jeopardy. I mean, like in that way, right? Like obviously, there could be some confrontation in some kind of a situation, right? But
Yeah.
confrontation doesn't have to lead to like some catastrophic failure. So I think when things like harbor up, they get crazy, and that's kind of that's kind of like one of the things that really took me out and set me back a little while, was just that, like, I let things harbor up, and then when things really kind of like came to the end, I was like, shit, and I had all this stuff that like hadn't been dealt with. And so yeah, I mean, like, don't keep things. Like, if you can't like be open about what's going on, then you're probably not in a great situation. It's like you have to be able to be open about stuff, and like, if you're feeling something, say it. And
Yeah.
but at the same time, that comes with confidence as well, right? So
Yeah.
it's like it's a whole thing. It's like a life experience thing, I guess. The more shit you go through, the more you kind of just realize that, like, you have to put your foot down in certain situations, and just fucking move forward.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, boundaries are important. And sometimes it's not even about boundaries for other people. Sometimes it's about making sure that we understand our own boundaries so that we don't let other people cross them. And sometimes those boundaries are making sure that we open our mouths when we don't feel like it
Yeah,
sometimes,
for sure.
So I know all that too well. We're certainly going through that right now. So
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, anybody who's ever known me knows I don't have a fucking filter anyway.
that's
But
good. Yeah.
it's like I don't know how I talk to as many people as I do, because I say some silly shit, man. Um, but that's how we should be, because when we don't
Guilty.
have filters and we don't hide things, there's no real room for argument or hurting people or anything like that, because everybody's actual feelings are already on the table. So there's no tiptoeing, anything like that. Um, but I guess generationally, we are taught that, not hurting somebody is more important than saying how you feel sometimes. I
Sure.
think
And I
it's
mean,
just
and there's
about
a way to approach everything, right? Like, there's
right, right. And that was
yeah,
exactly my next sentence was, I think it's all about approach. It's not necessarily that we shouldn't, it's just how we should.
exactly.
So this has been such a wonderful conversation. I'm really happy that we got to have this chat. It's been fantastic.
Me too.
Um,
Yeah, it was awesome.
is there anything that we haven't covered that you want to talk about?
I mean, I'm pretty good. At this point, I don't have anything to plug or anything like that. I will say, there's a really cool neurotic entertainment show in Toronto at Tale of the Junction on April 22nd. I believe it's Experiment Specimen and a bunch of other really cool bands. I think Kavara is there. And then I think Val Driver has their CD release on the 28th of April. Um,
Oh, I don't
that's
know how to.
also in Toronto, and I want to say it's at Tail of the Junction, but I'm gonna mess that up, I feel like. But anyway, go check out those shows.
I Kavara and Vile Driver are both in Volume 2, and I love both of those bands very
Nice.
much.
You probably know about the shows already, but I figured I'd plug them on your show.
No, and I that's exactly what I do this for. I know lots of stuff, but when I get live with people, I act like I don't know any of it. I don't do research before my shows on anybody that comes onto my show because I want the conversation to be genuine. Like I want to know things with everybody else. I want to learn things along with everybody that watches and stuff. So it's not that I'm not prepared or anything like that. I just find that this has been a great formula for me to be able to keep everybody else captivated because I'm wondering what's going on. So everybody else is wondering what's going on because I don't tell anybody anything because I don't know anything. So
I like that. Yeah, it's like you're learning as you're being told. So
yeah,
that's great.
it's a great formula because it means I don't have to do anything before the show.
Yeah. It's perfect. It's perfect.
So, yeah, no, both of those bands are absolutely amazing. Tale of the Junction is a fucking great venue. We have a second Sofa City Sounds Volume 3 release party there on April 30th.
Nice.
April 28th, I think you are right that like with I think you said it was a release party that's on the 28th there. I think you are right. It's scrolled through my feed. There's also a show at the Kill Room with Cryophilic on the 28th in Hamilton. I fucking love those guys. They played the first Sofa City release party. They're probably one of my top 10 right now. They're fantastic. Yeah. Actually, Kurt Smythe, their guitar player, is who does all my promos for my podcast.
Oh yes, I think you were saying they've been around. If I'm not mistaken, they've been around like a pretty long time. Like I remember them being around even when I was in Python, like 2013, 2014. I remember seeing their name.
Yeah, I feel like 2014 maybe. I feel like I should know this because I just wrote their bio, but I do a whole bunch at once. So
they go back for sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 2014, I believe. But they just get fucking better every single time they pick up their instruments.
Nice.
Every time. Oh yeah, they're doing fantastic. There was another. Razor is playing at the Rock Pile too. On
nice.
April 29th.
It's my buddy Ryder's in that band.
Pardon?
My buddy Ryder's the drummer in that band.
I know Ryder.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, everybody knows Ryder. What am I talking about? He's everybody's buddy.
Ryder's in Volume 3, and we dated for a very short period of time in 2020.
Nice.
So, yeah, he's a buddy of mine. He's a good dude. I love him. He's great.
Ryder is a great dude for sure.
Yeah, he is one of the most genuine human beings I know. So yeah, he's a good dude.
Totally agree with that.
Yeah. So he's in Volume 3. So yeah, that Razor show is going to be wicked. Rippard's opening. Rippard and Corrosive, who are also in Volume 3, and there's one more, Mortal Annoyance.
Nice.
They're all opening up with Razor on the 29th at the Rock Pile. So that should be a fucking killer show.
I love the Rippard guys as well. All of those guys are awesome guys as well.
Will is one of the funniest fucking people I have ever met in my life, man. They're fucking great dudes, all of them. They're so much fun. So yeah, no, there's so much good shows, so many good shows, and so much good music right now. I think I picked a really good area to be in, especially with independence, because I get to hear everything before everybody else does. I get to see all the new stuff. I get all the sneak peeks, and I tell you, I love it. There's so much fantastic fucking metal being poured into the community right now. It's great.
Oh, yeah. That's one thing if there's one thing that Ontario has never been lacking for a long time, it's like good metal music from all over the place. Definitely. The Sofa City show that's coming up at Tale Junction is Omnivert, Don Valley, Axe Minister, and Railgun out of Thunder Bay. Nice. So, I used to play an Axe Minister like years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. See,
Yeah.
this is why I don't research anybody, because I love learning shit like that.
Yeah, I played
That's
in Axminster. I guess it would have been around 2012 ish,
nice.
around that time.
That's awesome. Yeah, they were great to work with. They're good dudes, man. I can't
Yeah,
wait for them to play that show.
yeah, really good, talented dudes for sure. I haven't
Yeah.
talked to them in forever, but that reminds me I should probably reach out to them.
Yeah. Well, come out and see us on the 30th, man. It'd be nice to see you.
Yeah,
It's been a while.
yeah, for sure,
So,
for sure.
yeah.
I'll be around on the 30th.
Right on. Yeah, that'll be awesome. I can't, that's going to be such a busy weekend. Like, I try to only do 1 or 2 shows a week. And that weekend is Hamilton, Rockpile, downtown Toronto.
Nice.
And I live in the Falls, so that should be a lot of fun doing the drive. I don't mind it though. I love it. I love going back and forth.
It's gonna be a good trip. Well, a good few trips, I guess.
Definitely.
You're probably better off just like staying in a hotel or something and just crashing for the weekend. But I don't know with the kids and all that, but
Well, the kids. So the kids, I don't have to worry about. They're taken care of. It's actually like it's more. I probably could stay at our aunt's in Mississauga. Like I probably make it more difficult than it has to be. But I kind of like the freedom of just being able to just have the car and have no plans and not be tied down to any sort of I have to stay here or I have to go to this place or like I do a lot of shows and a lot of partying solo. I'm not even sure what you could call partying. I haven't had a drink in 15 fucking years, but like I do a lot of that stuff solo. This way I never have to worry about, oh, I have to go here. I have to, bring this person home. I have to get to this spot at a certain time or whatever. I just have the freedom to go, yeah, man, let's go. Or
yeah.
no, I don't feel like it. Or it's usually, yeah, man, let's go do this dumb shit. But
for sure.
So,
for sure.
But yeah, no, that should be a really good weekend. It should be a lot of fun. I can't wait. Yeah. And now that I have my glasses off, I can't see a damn thing. There you are. Here I am thinking I can get away with the last few minutes of having no glasses on, and no, that's a fucking lie. Well, I have to say, like, I'm really excited we got to do this, and we should do this every few months and catch up and see how things are, and definitely keep me posted on everything that you're going through with your music and things that you're doing, and shows that you might be heading to. Don't hesitate to share anything on Sofa City either, so that we can stay updated.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for having me. It was it's been a pleasure.
Definitely. It's been a blast. If you want to hang me to get rid of everybody else, if you want to hang around for a few minutes before we close off, that would be awesome.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Wicked. Well, it's been a blast. And I'll see everybody next week at 7:00. And I have no fucking idea who's on the show. So you guys will figure that out later. Have a good night.